going on, everybody? It's your boy Chad Arms, a.k.a. Chatty Bobby. Holy ball
Man, hello, my name is Tony, a.k.a. Friday the 14th. There's no coming back from that one. That was marvelous. I will give you that.
The energy's front-loaded, guys.
I mean, that deja vu has officially kicked in right off the get-go.
Deja.
Shout out Deja Vu.
We got guests again, everybody.
We do.
I'm Hot Mike Chance, and
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is BJ.
Hell yeah, BJ the DJ and the motherfucking building.
Hold on a second. I was expecting a little bit more out of you, Chance, on that
Yeah,
one.
Chance, you really
You
screwed
kind
the
of fell
pooch.
flat with that one.
right.
You
Give
screwed the
it.
pooch.
Let's go.
ladies and gentlemen,
All right.
I am Hot Mike Chance.
That's what I'm talking about. And the crowd goes wild.
There you
That's
go.
what I'm talking about, Chance. You coming in with a vengeance on that one.
Hey,
Oh.
our episode is this year. You understand? It is 23.
All right.
This is 2023, right? This is episode 23. Michael Jordan.
The GOAT.
Marcus Camby. Who else wore the number 23 well? Come on, guys. Help me out.
I'm
David
for-
Justice.
Yeah, there you go. Sweet lefty swing on that one.
Sweet.
Lefty swing.
Yeah.
Sweet lefty swing.
Lefty swing.
Swing.
Sweet
low,
lefty swing.
Sweet chariot.
Oh, carry me home. Oh, sweet and low.
Sweet and
Episode
low.
23. Yeah, sweet and low. That's what they put in this. But, yeah, guys, we're here to talk about managers and valets in wrestling.
Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of them.
There, y'all, let me applaud
This
y'all.
is BJ right here. This is
Yeah,
all BJ.
shout
on
out
this
to the homie BJ, the DJ, for this one because I've been having a lot going on the last couple of weeks, and my note taking has not been what it was the first few episodes.
I will say this. I do take better notes now than I ever did in school.
No, for sure.
Definitely.
Y'all killed it with these. Definitely. Y'all killed it with these.
I sucked at taking notes in school, but by God, when it comes to these episodes, this shit's serious.
Well, I have to.
It's because it's something that you like and enjoy.
Exactly. I hated school.
It's not the paleo.
Yeah,
The what?
Yep.
What?
I was trying to think of something.
The what? The periodic table? Is that what you're trying to say?
Paleographic.
What was you
Indian
talking about
tribe?
Jurassic Park all of a sudden?
Hey, shout out to
right,
them
yeah.
teachers in school that made you watch a video and then say take 5 notes from the video and then you get an A for the class. So
Shout out,
Yep.
yeah.
Shout out to those teachers.
Shout out to us going to school back in the day, and they had to roll a TV in on our car.
Yeah.
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 The box TV.
We
with
are
the-
officially old as white.
the laser
dogs.
disc.
Shout out to
player.
having to do a write-off from a little card that they get when you get in trouble and you had to write off and all that kind of shit.
What about the projector screens?
Oh,
Where they
yeah,
wrote on
man.
the clear piece of paper?
Yeah, what's the little light thing that they would write
Yep.
on, like the math problems and all that stuff? What
Any
was
of
that
our
thing?
any of the viewers under the age of 30, you'll have to Google what a projector screen is.
Yeah.
Probably.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll also have to Google what I'm talking about, the Scholastic Book Fair.
Oh my
You
gosh,
used to
that
tear that up. We-
boy, you saved all your pennies up. for
Dude,
the
that was
book
where my
fair.
collecting started. With that, well, I was collecting cards already by then, but I would collect Goosebumps books, and I never read one.
Yeah.
Of them.
That and the
I just
posters.
collected.
The posters.
The posters.
I didn't know they had
Lamborghini.
posters.
Lamborghini.
Oh, you didn't know the posters?
The
man?
Lamborghini
The
posters,
Lamborghini.
man.
Franklin
Yep.
Pumps.
Yeah.
Remember Franklin Pumps?
And then you get the sports pencils. You
Yes,
try to get all
yes,
the
with
sports.
all the
Yeah,
sports
but
teams
I
and
gotta-
the grips. Yeah,
I got a bone to pick with those sports-related pencils. It was the weird lead. It wasn't like it was
Yeah,
that light
they
colored
wrote like
lead,
shit.
and they were horrible.
Couldn't use them
to
on a
write with.
test. It had to be a number.
They weren't them
Why does it have to be a
good,
number 2
solid
pencil? What does that mean?
They were them hoity-toity light skin pencils. They
Yeah.
weren't them hardcore number 2 pencils.
Now,
They were-
in y'all's school, did y'all have the little pencil dispensers like in the hallways and stuff where you put like a quarter in there and you can
What?
Get a
What
pencil?
school
Yeah,
did you go to?
we barely had we didn't even have stalls on our bathroom.
Really? Oh, well.
You had to take his shit.
Did y'all
and
have
just-
troughs in your bathrooms too?
no, we had stalls, but they didn't have doors on them because everybody
yeah.
was in there and smoking in the boys'
What, at 8 years old? Up there in Greenbrier smoking in the boys' room?
I wasn't smoking anywhere. I was trying not to shit myself.
But yeah, the book fair is the Goosebump books, the posters,
Yep.
and the theme pencils.
Yep.
were-
Yeah.
And like you said, BJ, the different
The grips. You had to get all the grips. You had to have a pencil full of grips.
Shout out to an underrated series, Boxcar Children.
Oh, yeah,
Underrated
yep.
children's book series. I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
R.L. Stein, I used to. Remember when R.L. Stein had Goosebumps? Then he tried to get into the, like the more like horror movie style
Yeah.
books. What are we talking about? God damn it, we're talking about wrestling managers.
No, keep it going.
Bring it back.
What
I
about
didn't even know
sports?
where I was going.
Did you sign up for Sports Illustrated for kids at that
I
time
did.
too?
No. I did.
I was
What?
I was a grown man. Sports Illustrated, dude. I had the Reebok phone,
East
Reebok
Bay,
shoe phone?
East Bay magazine.
Oh
Yes.
man, East Bay magazine was the
Dude,
shit.
I
when
never
you-
got to order anything out of it.
No.
I
Ever.
loved everything.
Could never afford the East Bay shoes.
No.
I was
man.
like, can I
always
get
wanted them.
these? I'm like, no, we're getting Franklin's. I'm like, shit.
They're fun to look
Gregors.
at.
Not the Franklins.
It was like the
Franklin
Sears.
pumps, dude. I popped them in school.
no.
It was like the Sears catalog at Christmas, getting the eBay catalogs. It's like, oh, basketball season's
No,
coming.
no, no,
Oh,
no. The only one better than that was the Finger Hut book.
Oh yeah.
The Finger Hut book, man.
Man.
What a weird name. Finger
The Sears catalog for the Christmas Sears catalog
Yeah.
was always it for me as a
Yeah.
kid because that thing it was like a phone book when you
Yes.
get that thing.
Yeah.
And then of course you get to like the women's clothes department, you'd be like sneaking pictures of like the laundry. Like, what your mom like? Why are there pages missing out of the Sears Christmas catalog? I don't know what you're talking about, Mom.
dude. We are cavemen, dude. If you think back to when we were
man.
kids, how much crazier it was. Just in general for everything, like for like the accessibility that people have now, that kids have now with the internet and phones, it's definitely a good and a bad thing.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
I
More a
can't
bad thing, I
imagine
would
my
think.
teenage self with a smartphone.
Oh, no.
that
Oh,
would
my
be.
God. Dude. When we found out what the
The
internet
thing
was,
would blow up in my
Yeah.
pocket.
dude. When we found out what the internet was, we looked up Rotten.com almost
Yes,
immediately.
yes.
And that was like beheadings and like
Yeah.
I'm like people
Showed you
shitting all over
autopsy
themselves.
photos of
Bum
like
fights.
celebrities. Yeah.
I mean, Tupac's
bum
autopsy
fights.
photos.
Yeah.
Rotten.com. I'm like,
Oh,
I mean, AOL instant messages are getting in those chat rooms. It's like, oh yeah, you're like 12 years old. It's like
ASL.
dude.
I
mean,
that's
that's where we found out about like
TN.
ECW and stuff. We had to go on these websites to find ECW videos.
That's how I knew what Bone Thugs and Harmony was saying in their lyrics because I was looking up the lyrics.
I love that. If you
OHH
look that up on certain songs, it'll have question marks.
Yeah,
Like they
Bone
didn't
Thugs
even
had
know.
question marks through the whole verse.
They didn't even know what they were saying.
Yep.
Well, see,
Oh,
like
man.
kids, like that's what I tell my daughter. And same with y'all too, with the kids. It's like y'all don't know the struggle of a CD book.
Yeah.
Of having something in your mind of like, I want to listen to this. Oh, let me pull out this book and have to flip through
For one song.
For one song that you only wanted to hear.
Them 6 disc
And then you
CD
knock-
changers
and then
were
you,
it.
and then you run 9 people off the road trying to switch the CDs out.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And now it's
Just for your
like,
CD player to get stolen when you go into the fucking
Yeah,
Kmart.
yeah.
And then now it's just like, oh, I want to hear this song. It's just at the press. of
Oh
the
man,
button
when they
anyway.
bought when they made those little tape adapters for your iPods and stuff, and
Oh.
those were it, man. Those were it.
Yeah, man. Apple. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Apple saved the day.
But
Nah.
no, dude. You know, it's so funny. Us talking about that, it's the same exact thing to where when our parents were talking to us about, y'all don't know how good y'all got it. When I was going to school, we had to walk to school.
Yeah,
Up a hill.
Now you can't
Foot
let
of
your
snow,
kids walk
foot
to
of
school; they get
snow.
stolen. I mean, that's
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like now you get abducted if you go anywhere without a guardian. Even if you have a guardian, they'll abduct you. The world is fucked, everybody.
pretty
We're
much.
here, guys. Managers and valets, episode
Wow.
23, the number 23.
that's a good wraparound right there,
Right?
right?
A good reach around, more or less.
Wow, we went from that to here.
Man.
Here we
Right
are.
there in the middle.
Are we going to talk about wrestling today? I said, are we? Like, I'm like,
Are
forget the
we?
R.
Are we talking about?
Are
wrestling?
we? We're talking about wrestling managers and valets. Now, y'all take the wheel on this one, and me and Chance will just get in where we fit in on this.
Oh yeah.
Oh, no. Well,
Or I'll get in where I fit in. How about that?
Me too.
Where you want to start at?
I mean, do you want to start with the GOAT of all time of managers? Now,
Nah, let's save that
save him
because
for
I
the
think
last-
that's going to be
Dude,
debatable.
that would be
I
a
think that's
unanimous
debatable.
vote as well. Hold on, I'll throw out a scraggler there as one of my favorites. What about your boy Harvey Whippleman? Back
Oh
in the day?
yeah.
Huge fan of Bruno, man.
Yep.
Love Harley.
Harley, you're a Harley Whippleman.
Oh yeah.
I can't say his name ever.
What, Whippleman?
I
Just
was
Harley
I-
Whippleman.
I only remember
Harvey,
Harvey Whippleman managing Giant Gonzalez. That's
Yes.
all I ever remember.
Yep.
And I said, "What a scrub! Like this guy, this is the only guy you've got. What a scrub!"
He did manage Kamala for a while too, as well.
Wasn't he with Sid Justice
Yeah, he
too?
was with Sid
Started
Justice
in
for a
Memphis,
while,
Kamala
and
did.
Adam
Yeah.
Bomb for a little bit as well.
So he's probably like he's got the worst client list ever. Like none of those guys ever won anything.
And
Like,
after what's his name left the Warlord, he came in as the Warlord. Oh my God, Slick. After Slick left,
The job sold, bro. Shout out to Slick, dude.
turn out the lights, the party's over.
Dude, Slick
Slick,
was
man.
so dope,
hey,
dude.
Slick
Yep.
was the manager for the mid Carter guys.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
he was
Dude.
that one.
I'm telling you right now, y'all laugh at me, but one of my favorite tag teams of all time is the Twin Towers.
That was a great
Big
one.
Boss Man and Akeem the African Dream.
I mean, he had a nice
it.
list. He had Paul. I mean, I wouldn't say nice list. He had Paul Roma, one of the worst four horsemen of all
Not
time.
a good start.
No.
Earthquake, Rick Martel, Warlock. He was the manager for the mid-carders. His highlight in his whole career was escorting the Twin Towers to the main event against the Mega Powers. That was the highlight of his career.
WrestleMania, not one WrestleMania 5, was it? No, WrestleMania 5 was Hogan and Macho.
Was that 4?
No, 4 was the tournament.
Chance is pulling out the Google machine since we have one now.
Yeah,
We got Chance a new gadget. Tony
that was
got
the
Chance a gadget.
highlight
Yep,
of his,
yep.
his
Yep.
career.
To hopefully make it a little bit easier on him.
Yeah,
But
Twin Towers and Mega Powers. See if that was a SummerSlam or what was that? Saturday Night Main Event, maybe?
Was it?
I don't know. It wasn't WrestleMania.
No, it
5.
was,
We're gonna find out.
I think no, I was wrong. Oh no, I was reading wrong.
But yeah, Slick was he was the man, dude.
Yeah, he was sharp. Come to the ring with a suit on.
Power and Glory.
Power and
dude.
glory.
Power and glory.
Hercules was such a beast, bro.
Dude, he was a monster of a man.
A name I haven't heard in a long time. Boris Zukov. Boris Zukov.
Was he part? I'm trying to remember who that was. That's
He
the guy.
was the Russian, wasn't he? Wasn't he one of the
Yeah,
Russians?
Okay. Was he in there with Nikolai Volkov?
Yes.
When they were in the
Oh,
early
Yes.
days?
Yes.
Before him and Hacksaw did their little.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Boris Zukov. Yeah. Boris Zukov.
Butch Reed.
Yeah.
Power and Glory. Rick Martel, Warlord. Yeah, he was Slick was he was one of my favorites growing up. I always remember him being the heel manager, like the most known prominent heel manager in the early '90s. That was the.
Would you put Teddy Long in the same category as like a Slick with?
I put Teddy Long like high on the list. I know he's not in my top 5, but Teddy Long's pretty high up there. Teddy Long, his career, like the longevity that Teddy Long has in the industry is unbelievable. Like,
because he was managing Butch Reed and them like early on.
Yeah,
and
so
Ron Simmons early, right?
when I was doing some research on Teddy Long, I thought it was funny. They said he started off running errands for Tommy Rich and Abdullah the Butcher and Jim Crockett. Like he was their errand boy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Which looking back, that was a very an errand boy like that.
probably
the
pretty
wrestling business
racist.
was very
Probably pretty
racist back
racist.
then.
Yeah. And so
He's spoken about what happened with Sylvester Ritter leaving.
Yeah.
Mid South was some racial stuff too.
And so then they needed a replacement referee for the Chi-Town Rumble when Ricky Steamboat won the NWA title. So that was his first like taste of the wrestling business, actually being on the main stage, refereeing that match right there with Flair and Steamboat. That was
really?
Yeah, that was it.
Interesting.
Another interesting fact about Teddy Long that I thought this was crazy. He was the referee during the match at Over the Edge where Owen Hart fell, and he was also the referee in the match where Droz was paralyzed. So that he's got both of those on his watch.
Oh wow!
So,
See,
yeah.
I never
it's
paid
Teddy
attention
Long's
to that,
fault.
like, how much of a referee and stuff
He was. I noticed him more as a referee. Like I saw him managing a lot of people. Like maybe mid 90s WWE, he came in and he was managing like D'Lo and all those guys. Yeah. And then Mark Henry, of course, he stayed with Mark Henry for a while. But I remember him mainly as a referee and as a commissioner. That's the
commissioner
two.
Teddy Long. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's probably the
player?
most famous referee? Earl Hebner.
I would say Earl,
And
just because of the screw job, probably. Yeah, yeah.
Well, that and he was in all of Hogan's main event. He was the referee in all of Hogan's main event.
Yeah, I think he
matches.
was the top guy for forever.
And then
Him
you
and
had-
I mean,
then you had
Mike
Little
Chioda and then Little Nate.
Yeah, Lil Nate. Which, fun fact, he is a huge horror movie fan.
Is he?
Yeah, and he had pretty much his whole horror movie collection stolen from him.
I mean, he gets chance of Lil Nate
Yeah,
every
man.
time they do a live show,
Yeah.
and he'll acknowledge it. He'll wave at the crowd for.
Yeah, he's a huge horror movie. Like he had like a storage unit or something like that, like full of like memorabilia and props and all that stuff. And somebody broke into it and stole all the stuff.
Fuck them, whoever did that. Did you find a
1989 main event.
main event.
89 main event? Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I know when you said Mega Powers, I was like, well, it wasn't Mania 5 because that was the Mega Powers exploding all over each
Yeah.
other, Pauls. But it was close to that. Yeah.
Oh
Like in the
man.
dream, dude. And another thing, going before we tie the bow up on Slick, did he ever go to any other federations?
That's it. He's an ordained minister. I found that out also.
Okay.
He graduated
I like Chance.
from
Yep.
He graduated from Chapmansville University in
Okay.
Kentucky,
Shout out to Chapmansville University.
and
in
he's an
Kentucky.
ordained minister.
Hey man,
Fun fact.
if y'all are needing to get hitched, Holler at Slick. Well, I don't even know what his name is now.
Yeah. Or you can holler at Chance.
Yeah.
Or holler at Chance. Holler at Chance. This is how we have Chance's contact.
Yeah, we got
you need to
a
get married.
minister. We got you an ordained minister and a DJ.
Boom!
So
You got it all in one. You got it all in one shot here. So just contact us.
and entertainment.
Yeah. Boom! Right there it is. And I'll just show up and
shoot
say
a pod
hi.
from the wedding. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Shoot a pod from the
There
wedding.
you go.
Shout out to Slick, man. Who's next? Who's next up on the list?
One person I didn't realize was as decorated as a wrestler before he was a manager was Mr. Fuji.
They said he was the most insane ribber ever, dog.
Like I'd never in my life knew that he was a 5-time tag team champion. He held titles in the AWA and the NWA as well. I only remember him mainly working with Demolition and Yokozuna. But he was that perfect heel. He didn't speak a lick of English. He got worse. I think he got worse
Oriental
promo.
Express. He was on.
Yeah,
he
well, that was-
Oriental Express. I
That's
forgot
what I
about
was
them.
fixing to say.
Yeah.
But didn't Cornette do with the Orient
I think
Express?
he had a stint with them
With
too.
them too.
Maybe
But I thought
later.
I think Fuji. That's
Early
what I was
'90s,
gonna
it was Fuji though.
Yeah, Mr. Fuji was an intimidating looking little man too, man.
Oh yeah, he was like the best heel because he couldn't speak a lick of English, and he had the salt that he would throw in the eyes. Like
They said his ribs were horrible. They said one of the ribs he did on somebody, he like killed and cooked an animal and served it to him.
That's
Horrible. He's a piece of shit for that.
Fun fact about Mr. Fuji, though, he actually retired and moved to Knoxville, Tennessee, and he died in Clarksville, Tennessee at the age of 89.
Damn.
So he
Actually, it occurred at the Shoney's salad bar in Clarksville.
nothing
On
like
Wilma Rudolph.
there's
Shoney's
nothing like a
left
good
open.
old Shoney's.
If you're
breakfast
gonna
bar.
go, what a way! I mean,
go
if you're
there.
gonna
I
go,
would have went to the breakfast bar, not
look,
the salad bar.
if I could pick when I wanted to go, it would 100% be at the Shoney's Wilma Rudolph location at the salad bar.
Salad bar.
I mean, not at the breakfast bar.
Yeah, you gotta go. You gotta get some. You gotta get them. There's
I'm not going to choke on a crouton. Let me choke on
At least be eating some bacon.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Oh yeah, you got to eat
Some
bacon.
biscuits and gravy.
You got to eat bacon.
Man, come on.
Yeah.
Salad bar. Get the fuck out of here. But yeah, Fuji was is always an intimidating.
Oh, Fuji was the
presence when he
man.
was coming in.
He was the man. He was the man. Who you got?
Chance, you got one for us?
This guy I actually met Colonel Robert Parker.
You met him?
Yeah, him and Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So before you do that, I do want to fix something I fucked up on in a previous episode. You brought up Colonel Robert Parker before. Mm-hmm. We were confusing him with Robert Fuller.
That's the same guy.
Yep. Same person.
Same guy. Robert Fuller, a.k.a. Robert Parker. He wrestled as Robert Fuller. Him and his brother. His brother was Ron Fuller in USWA. He came to manage in WCW as Robert Parker.
And he was
Who's
Tennessee
I'm thinking of
Lee.
Colonel Parker?
Tennessee
He was like a
Lee.
He was
drilling
Tennessee
sergeant,
Lee.
though.
And,
No, you're
Colonel
going
Parker was like,
Sergeant Parker. So you're thinking
Yep,
Okay.
Sergeant.
Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker.
Colonel,
That's okay.
Colonel Parker looked like Kentucky Fried Chicken Man.
That's exactly what
Yeah,
it
he
looked
had
like.
a little-
Yep.
And how ironic did he manage a team named Harlem Heat? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
And that's the one y'all were talking about where he was well endowed, correct? Colonel
yeah.
Parker?
Yeah, Paul
I don't know
said-
who was talking about that.
Somebody in this episode was talking about him.
No, we were talking about
I
him
met him.
tripod.
I met him.
Yeah, y'all
I
were
met him,
talking
but I
about
don't know
him
nothing
tripod.
about that.
Well, no, I've never seen his wiener. Or nothing. I've watched shoot
I don't
interviews
know.
and people talk about
There's
it.
a shoot
I'm not
interview.
saying that. Yeah, come on now.
There's a shoot interview with PG-13 where they talk about Robert Fuller hitting Jacqueline in the back, like, and said that he was stabbing her ribs.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And I never. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was also a story that involved Jacqueline and I want to say Jeff Jarrett and
Probably.
Jerry Lawler and
Yeah.
a couple other people.
Wouldn't doubt it.
Group activities. Shout out to group activities. I guess.
Oh,
Crazy
man.
world this wrestling area is, huh?
Yeah, I was a
Very
big fan of Robert Fuller as a wrestler. I'm a Memphis fan through and through. But yeah, he co-owned CWA in Memphis. He was a very good territorial wrestler. He created a stable called the Stud Stable, and that started all the way back in Memphis. And he had members in there: Sid Vicious, Cactus Jack, Dutch Mantell. And then when he came to WCW in the '90s, he revamped it, adding Ming, Arn Anderson, Terry Funk was there, Dick Slater. And he was also one of the first managers to manage Stunning Steve, as well as he was a promoter, I guess you would call it, for Harlem Heat while Sherry.
Well, that's another.
their
You
manager.
said a name on there too that came in later on as a manager is Dutch Mantell.
Dutch Mantell.
Later on, in
That was a really good gimmick that he had with Jack Swagger.
Yeah.
That was a really the
Yeah.
People. That
Yeah.
that was a really good gimmick for
and
Jack
then
Swagger.
they just dropped it.
Just dropped it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to him? Is he in AEW?
He
I
does.
think he's doing something there.
He does a podcast.
Yeah.
He
He's
works.
got his own.
Yep.
I can't think of what it's
No,
called.
I'm talking about Jack Swagger.
Oh, Jack Swagger.
He's
Yeah,
in
AEW.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think he's wrestled 10 matches since he's been there, but he's there.
Oh, he's like Jake something, ain't he?
Yeah, Jake Swagger.
Jake Hager.
Or Hager.
That's his
yep.
real name. Yeah.
Oh wow, they just switched it up.
He was actually a pretty good MMA fighter too. Turned out to be a pretty good MMA fighter. I mean, he was a collegiate wrestler, like
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I get him.
NCAA champion, I think.
Who's the guy that was on Tough Enough, the Harvard dude from Tough Enough that put out a lawsuit on
Chris
the
Nowinski.
Yeah,
he's like a
CTE specialist.
Yeah, he brought out a lawsuit on the WWE too.
He actually studied Benoit's brain, I think, after all that.
Oh, really?
He's in the Benoit episode on Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah, he studied that. He did a study on his brain.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's
Fun fact right there.
yeah.
Fun fact, baby.
Good. one.
I think another one that everyone in here would know a little bit about, Paul Bearer.
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
He's another one that was closely tied to certain wrestlers. Like some of these managers, like we talked about Slick. Slick had a slew of wrestlers that he was managing, but like Paul Bearer, the one thing I remember about Paul Bearer was his facial expressions. He never really got involved in anything.
No.
He was just his facial expressions, the urn. Like he was perfectly set up with that Undertaker.
And then his voice.
Yeah,
His
the voice.
yes.
And the,
Yes, it was just the perfect combination of gimmick with manager. Like they couldn't have done it any better.
I always thought he was wearing like his neck looked fake.
Yeah, like
As
he
a
was
kid.
wearing a mat, like
like it was
mask.
like a mask.
Yeah.
He'd always like flatten out his neck and everything to make his neck look fatter, and it'd always be like flopping
I
around.
tell you, that turkey gobbler on deck, dude.
Yeah.
That look, he scared the shit out of me when he was like the
He
white
absolutely
makeup,
terrified
black
me.
face
Yeah,
runner.
I was terrified of him. Yes.
Yeah.
But and then, speaking of that, what about the $1 Million Man being the Undertaker's first manager?
You know, I forgot all about it. I thought Brother Love
No,
was
Brother
his
Love
first
was.
one.
I thought, but he was on $1 Million Man's team. in
Yeah,
Survivor
Brother
Series.
Love was his
That's
first
right,
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
You're
came
right.
out with Brother Love, and then
He was on $1 Million Man's $1 Million
Yeah. 'Cause
the whole-
team in Survivor Series.
the whole plan was for Brother Love to be the manager because he was the complete opposite of Undertaker.
Right.
But then Bruce Pritchard was talking about how Vince asked him, well, you can either stay here and write, be getting creative with me, or you can go on the road for 300-something days a year as his manager.
Yeah.
So he decided to stay, and then
To stay and write.
I think Percy Pringle just got brought in like relatively around that time.
Well, it worked out perfectly. 'cause
He's
He
actually
worked with him.
were
He
matched.
worked with him in WCCW also.
Did he?
Undertaker was down there, so
Yeah.
they knew each other, and they thought it was great that he was coming up there. But the gimmick just, even Percy Pringle was a little bit more vocal. Kind of like, do you remember when Kane came in and Mankind was around? Like he switched and started managing those guys. He didn't wear the makeup. He had more of a fierce, stern look on his face all the time.
Wore
Had
the
like
red
That
and
was
black.
like what
brown
Percy
hair.
Pringle was
Yeah.
when he was in WCCW.
He didn't dye the hair black.
Right, yeah.
He
was-
wrestled also, didn't he, for a while?
I don't remember ever seeing him wrestle.
I think he may have. I don't know how much, but
Yeah. I remember him from WCCW because, again, the Memphis connection there. And he managed, he was one of the Dingo Warriors' first managers, which was the Ultimate Warrior. Lex Luger was linked to him. Steve Austin, Rick Rude, when those guys came through WCCW, they put him with Percy Pringle.
And he was an actual mortician, too.
He was an actual mortician, which is crazy.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's crazy to
It's
think
even
about that.
scarier.
Yeah, the funeral parlor segments were really memorable. I remember when Warrior and Undertaker were having their feud, and Jake Roberts was kind of helping Warrior find the dark side, and he ended up backstabbing him in the process. That was just one thing that always stuck out to me as a child, was watching those segments.
Oh man, those old vignettes were so great
yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah.
But you don't get that now. It's just like backstage talking. You don't
Yeah.
get like the whole vignette setting up.
Yeah.
But you also have a pay-per-view every month now.
Right.
Where you only back in that day you only had the big four every year.
Right.
You had more time to set up everything,
Yeah.
which is a shame nowadays.
Yeah.
One that I think is very underrated as a manager, but he's a GOAT in the wrestling business, is Bobby Heenan.
Oh
And the reason I say he's underrated as a manager is because he didn't do it very long.
Yeah.
He started doing commentary, but he was he's one of the greatest. Like his involvement in matches, the way him and Vince McMahon would go back and forth with one another, and he wouldn't agree with him. The comments he would make, that's where I first heard about ham and eggers. And certain phrases like that he would throw out there. But Heenan
And would take a bump.
he would take a bump in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat.
This is with all due respect to all announcers. There's no better announcing team than Gorilla Monsoon.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
I agree with that.
Absolutely.
Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler, close.
Yep.
But Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon were the best. Primetime was it Primetime Wrestling? When
Yep,
they did the
Primetime
thing?
Wrestling.
And then he had the Bobby Heenan show. For
Yeah,
a
the
little
Bobby
while.
Heenan show. Yep, I remember that. Like he had a list of like wrestlers. Like he wrestled the major heels, the Orndorffs, King Kong Bundy. He had a stint with the Brainbusters while
Warrior
they were
almost killed him.
Yeah. And he
God
speaks
dang,
highly. He doesn't speak very highly of Warrior at all.
No.
How many people do?
Yeah, no, not at all. To me, him and Mr. Perfect, their gimmicks together was the best. Those were some. You talk about some really good vignettes.
Yeah.
But Bobby Heenan with Mr. Perfect, I think, was the perfect combination.
Him and Andre too.
And him and Andre, he was one of those guys that
family
really
was fire.
Yeah.
Yes, the Heenan family.
Was that Andre Haku? Was it
the Heenan family?
Barbarian?
You had the Islanders, King Harley Race, Mr. Perfect,
yeah.
Red Rooster, Brooklyn Brawler was there.
Red
Rooster.
Rooster.
Ken Patera, Buddy Rose.
They put Red Rooster and the Brooklyn Brawler in the Heenan family.
Big John Studd was in the Heenan family also.
Shout out to Big John Studd.
Yeah.
I remember when he won the damn battle royal and Andre took his money or something.
Yeah,
Vice versa.
Andre pretty much made him quit.
It was it $25,000 battle royal or something?
Andre won it and dude took the money from Andre.
Yeah. And so I say his managerial record was short because he retired in '91 and then he jumped into commentating and again, like he was awesome on the mic. I think he was just as good in WCW as he was in WWF. But I agree with Chad when Chad said the best combination was him and Gorilla.
I liked him and Shivani.
Yeah, him and Shivani were good.
I like how him and Shivani would bounce off each other as well. It was like you said, it was nowhere near like Gorilla and Bobby, but
It just Gorilla Monsoon. Hearing Gorilla Monsoon's voice come on the wrestling paper, like it's such a nostalgic thing for me. That's
especially
why
those Coliseum
that
home
time-
video days.
He would always hit Bobby Heenan with the "Will you be serious?"
Would you stop?
Would you just stop?
Would you stop it? Yeah. It was like Gorilla was always playing the good guy.
The bread basket.
One thing I did love about Bobby Heenan was when Flair first came to WWF with the big gold belt. Like Heenan was the guy who showcased that belt. He held it proudly. The real world's champion. And then he stepped back in to help when Mr. Perfect was managing Ric Flair during that time. But I remember that like it was yesterday. Like I can still see they blurred the belt out, so they didn't want anybody to know what belt it was, although we knew. So
Dude, they there was that time the best announcing performance is the Royal Rumble '92, the actual Royal Rumble match.
Yeah.
Because that's when Bobby Heenan is so over the top for Ric Flair. It's so funny. It's so good though.
Yep. And that's one of the best Flair promos ever.
Oh my god!
With a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment of my life.
So
Like,
great.
it's just-
Such
an awesome.
I got another one for you that you named in there too, as he was a world champion, then became a manager as well as Harley Race.
Harley Race,
in the
Managed
WCW.
Vader.
Yeah.
Vader
and Luger, yeah. Oh, he did have Vinny Vegas.
Yeah, he had his
Vinny
own little
Vegas,
stable
dude.
there for a
Yeah.
while. But yeah, I mainly remember him with Vader.
I remember Harley Race taking bumps also.
Yeah.
Because he was the one that originated the flip into the turnbuckle, the hook over the like Triple H did a lot.
Yeah.
Like Harley Race was the first one I noticed doing that.
And
So-
a bad motherfucker.
Bad,
too.
yeah, bad, yeah.
That was the man you did not want to cross.
No,
From all
definitely
the stories
not,
there,
definitely
it's
not.
the man that you did not want to cross.
Yeah, I forgot about Harley Race as a manager, but then I remember him with Vader a lot.
Yeah, that's what
Luger.
still got the Vader days, and then like I think Sid was in that stable as well, maybe with
Harley Race.
Harley Race and stuff.
I remember when Luger was U.S. champion, Harley Race escorted him to the ring. I remember that.
He was his mouthpiece for him
because he couldn't talk worth a lick.
No. But that was a common factor with it, and like we talked about before too, with Flair carrying him in that one match. The whole match.
the whole entire match. Yeah.
It was staying WCW. You got J.J. Dillon. I mean, he had the Horseman.
Yeah,
Tully.
and that was one of the reasons why I didn't put J.J. Dillon.
I thought he would have had more looking into it.
Yeah, but I remember like the run of the Horseman and JJ's involvement with the Horseman ran for so long that it warrants him being on the greatest list. Like, definitely. But he was only tied to them, and that was the only thing that really threw me off.
Yeah, and
that's like Ellering, like you said, Paul Ellering, only being tied to the Road Warriors until there was a turn in WWE, and he went with a different tag team, and I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank on that.
Oh, he did it with
Disciples
the
of Apocalypse.
Is that what it was? He
Well,
turned on.
He also came out with these two humongous dudes on NXT one time.
That was Authors of Pain when he came
Authors
out with
of Pain, when they-
and
yeah, I
NXT
remember
and
that.
everything. They were a great tag team.
What
But
happened
they-
to them?
And then
guys?
they just quit pushing them.
On the main,
okay.
when they got to
That
the
sounds
main,
about
when they
right.
got to the main stage, it just
Yeah.
there
That
was
was
too
towards
many
the end of me
makeshifts.
watching WWE.
Yeah.
I remember those guys.
They just quit pushing them.
They were aligned with Seth Rollins at one point
Yeah.
with the authority gimmick, but that was it. They just
I
they
mean, and
flaked
they
out.
were a
big dudes.
big dude,
Yeah.
and it was pretty much the Legion of Doom
Pretty
in
much,
modern
yeah.
day. And
Yeah.
everything. They had a very similar set to Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of power moves, and they put Ellering in there perfectly with him. And I believe is his daughter still in NXT? I think his daughter was.
Ellering's daughter?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I think she was in NXT for a little bit. I don't know.
I
if she
did not
still
know
is.
that. Another person on this list, Chad brought him up. One of the previous podcasts where he was a big fan of his. Jim Cornette.
Oh, dude.
You got to put him on. He's
I mean,
a GOAT level.
he is.
He's one of the
He's
two,
top 3 for me. Like top 3.
He's definitely top
He's
three, if not- if not
unbelievable.
the best.
He's
there
up
was-
there with Bobby with the top heel. With
There was nobody in this world I wanted to see get their ass kicked
Yeah.
more than Jim
Yep.
Cornette.
Yeah.
Every single, he drove me nuts. I could not stand that man.
yeah,
As much as I love Bobby Heenan, Cornette's a better manager than Bobby
Oh,
Heenan.
definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Because
definitely.
Cornette managed for longer.
yeah,
Way
exactly.
longer.
Exactly.
He's
But
the
and he has the ultimate mind of professional wrestling.
Oh, and
I
he's
mean,
he's a historian. Like he has,
He's an
he remembers so
encyclopedia.
much. There was one thing I always remembered watching. I used to rent these old Starcade tapes back in the day, and I watched that scalpel match between the Road Warriors and Midnight Express. And he was like climbing the scalpel, trying to get away from the Road Warriors. And they say he's deathly afraid of heights, terrified. And then he ends up underneath the scalpel, and he drops, like he loses his grip, drops, and blows out both his knees.
Yeah.
his kneecaps, yeah.
Like to take that kind of bump, but he said he did it because that's the biggest crowd he would ever perform
Yeah.
in front of. He wanted to make sure they got their money's worth. Like you can't help.
He's
but
a
respect
performer.
That.
Yeah.
Can't help but
I mean,
respect
that's
that.
insane.
Yeah.
Think
And
about
he-
how crazy that is.
yeah.
Blew out both of his knees.
Well, that's, he talks about too that one guy that jumped the railing on him one time, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
took the racket up
Yeah.
against the dude's skull, and he said he cracked the dude's skull.
And it was
wide
that
open.
tennis racket. He always had that tennis racket. I loved, there was a segment he used to do in WWF pre-Attitude Era. They were getting there, but they weren't there yet, where he would shoot on WCW all the time, Cornette's Corner or something like
Yes.
that. I love that. I love when he gets in his element. He hates Vince Russo.
Oh, yeah, that's some of the
Despises
best.
Vince Russo.
Some of the best when he goes on the Russo
He's the
rant.
best at ranting.
Yes.
Of anybody
Yes.
in the world.
And he hates AEW.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, with a passion.
He hates
He
AEW.
still does. I used to watch his
Yes,
podcast
Kenny
all the time.
Olivier.
He
and
hates them. What does he call the
Twinkle Toes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Twinkle
The young-
Toes.
Yeah, he despises everything about AEW. It's mainly because the no selling part. He's old school, and like we've talked about before, in this new modern AEW, there's no such thing as selling.
And he also brought in an NWA stable pre-Attitude Era also. Remember Jared was the Jared had an NWA title. The Rock and Roll Express
The
came in,
Heavenly Bodies.
which looked really odd. It looked really odd seeing.
It didn't hit at all.
It
at
didn't
that
hit at
time
all.
frame.
No, not at all.
But nothing WWF was doing at that time was hitting.
Nothing was.
I mean, look what he did with OVW.
Yeah.
Right there, and the
Yeah.
people that he produced out of OVW.
Yeah, I mean, Smoky Mountain Wrestling had some who's walk through
Exactly.
there, but like his
Jericho.
Jericho was there. His biggest star was like Tracy Smothers, Brian Lee, Chris Candido. Like those were the guys he was pushing in Smoky Mountain, but he had other people waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
Like to
Lance
to
Storm
take
came
over.
through Smoky Mountain. What about that clip from Smoky Mountain of them in the van at the Dairy Queen?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that clip
Yes.
when he
Oh,
goes
yes.
off?
Yes.
Oh my god!
I mean,
and
but-
Jericho in the back of the van just cracking up laughing.
Dude,
So he had Camp Cornette when he got back to WWF, and he had Owen Hart and Yokozuna. They won the tag titles 2 times. British Bulldog, he had Vader, he had Brian Pillman, and he also had Austin briefly. He was voted Booker of the Year 3 times, Best on Interviews 4 times, and Manager of the Year through PWI 3 times. That's one thing I noticed looking at that. PWI stopped doing that like 1999. I don't know why.
Yep.
Maybe the manager or the valet is a thing of the past.
Yeah, I
but-
think they
at that time,
they
it
started
probably-
falling
yeah.
off.
Yeah,
But he was
probably
3
so.
was a 3-time winner of that. So, and then he also did the TNA and the ROH commissioner role. I
Yeah.
liked him in TNA. I thought he did well. So
And he when he was booking for Ring of Honor,
Yeah.
he was doing great with that too. But he, of course, if it's either Cornette's way or the highway,
Sure.
and everything. If Cornette don't see eye to eye with it,
you got to respect his opinions.
Oh,
The
yeah,
guy, the
you
guy's
have
got
to.
skin in the game.
exactly.
So,
yeah.
like I said, he's top 3 for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
I agree
and
completely.
Smoky Mountain too, another big wrestling group that he had was the New Jack and Mustafa.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The gangsters. Like
Yeah.
he's the one that started their whole character.
Oh yeah.
Because he asked them what they wanted to do, and he said, "We want to be the gangster. We want to spell it with an AS instead of an ERS."
Yeah.
And he just had them go out there and
He
just
said, "Go out there and say something that'll piss white people off."
go piss white people off.
I mean,
Gotcha.
New Jack's like,
And they're
hold my
hooked.
cocaine. I got some Poppy New Jack.
Gotcha. Let me.
oh man.
but I will go back.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say that New Jack's episode of it's my favorite Dark Side of the Ring episode.
Really?
yeah.
I got to watch the new episode on Bam Bam.
I didn't think it was as informative as I was hoping.
Really?
It didn't really say anything derogatory about him. How he died we understood what happened, but it wasn't really that detailed as I thought it would be. So
From what I saw, I didn't realize how big of a teddy bear he was.
that's what his kids talk about. When he was home, it was completely different.
Yeah, he's probably one of the most intimidating men to look at.
Yeah.
In the history of wrestling, and just but
I know you guys haven't watched Young Rock, but there was a story in there about with Rocky Johnson, Rock's dad. There was they brought in Bam Bam to get him ready to go to WWF, and it was a loser leave USWA match. And then Rocky thought he was going over, and Vince was going to call him up. Every time I watch that, it makes me like his dad less and less.
Yep.
Because it was all about him. It wasn't about anybody else. So Bam Bam comes in, of course. He beats or he wins a contract on a pole match or something. And he gets the contract to go to WWF. And Rocky Johnson was talking about, I thought it was my chance. But apparently what happened was he had promised Vince he was coming. And then he did some side deals with some Saudi Arabian company, and Vince found out about it because they put him on this big billboard, and he just quit booking him.
Yep.
Quit booking him. So
no, don't piss off Vince.
Yep. Don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Exactly.
That's it. So,
But coming back to $1 Million Man, did have a little stint as a manager of Bam Bam for a little bit, and then he was the manager of the Ringmaster for a while.
he was. Yeah, he was the guy that brought him
1, 2, 3
in.
Kid,
1, 2, 3 Kid.
Tatanka.
He also had the LA Knight.
I
LA
forgot.
Knight.
King Kong Bundy. He was
Yep.
a manager for King Kong
Yep.
Bundy. He had that little stable there for a little bit.
Was he manager for Andre when Andre won the belt, or was it Bobby Heenan and $1 Million Man was just trying to buy the belt?
That
I think he
was-
bought the belt from.
Buy the belt. Okay.
That was it.
Yeah. Now did they credit him with the title reign? I think they do credit him with the title reign. Even though he didn't win it, he bought it.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
like a short title reign.
Yeah. I don't know if they recognize him in
Classifies
that.
as
Yep.
championship. And then he has a little stint as being the mouthpiece for some NWO guys
Yeah.
for a little bit in WCW.
Was he 5? Was he number 5? Was he the 4th one or the 5th one that came in?
He was early on with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Somebody in the
Was he?
comments
I
was
think it
talking
was
about
before. Was he before 6?
that. He was before 6.
Yep.
But I think he was maybe 4 because then because I remember him sitting in the crowd. He held up the 4, and then he went 5 coming or something like that. So yeah, we can go. Where does everyone place Jimmy Hart on their list? If you had a top 5.
Yeah, you got. I'd have him in the top 4 in mind, just because. In going back and looking stuff up on Jimmy Hart is how much influence on everything he had.
Definitely.
I mean, he was a mouthpiece for guys. He wrote. I didn't realize how much before Jim Johnston. It was pretty much Jimmy Hart that wrote everybody's theme music.
I think he's probably the most recognizable manager in wrestling history.
Yeah.
Probably the most recognizable personality next to Hogan because they were closely associated with one another. Although I don't ever remember Jimmy Hart managing Hogan, like actually managing him. I just always see him tied in business with him.
He was with them with the Mega Powers.
Was he?
He was with the
Okay.
Mega Powers, and then
And didn't he manage them whenever wasn't Brutus and Hulk Hogan tag teams in WWF for a while?
I think so,
Later on.
because I remember him
Because
having.
they wrestled Money Incorporated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was he
'cause-
not manager of Money Incorporated also? At
Yeah,
one
he
point?
was, yep.
See, Jimmy Hart was doing way too much.
Oh man, he was all over the place. And that megaphone, man.
Oh yeah, I mean the megaphone was
Earthquake.
it, and the flashy jackets and stuff. His jackets always matched the attire of who he managed.
Honky Tonk Man.
The Quebecers, all American boys.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how many jackets that man had to have?
His airbrush artist, I mean, was on payroll.
Yeah, it had to be. Yeah.
I mean, he had to go down to Panama City to get that much airbrushing done.
Yep.
The one thing I remember about him is his involvement with the Andy Kaufman versus Lawler feud. That was like the first time you saw a celebrity dabble in pro wrestling. Well, I wouldn't say that's the first time. I think that's probably one of the biggest celebrities to get involved in pro wrestling. And I remember all the other companies like WC or NWA and WWF saying they were jealous that was happening, that they were getting able to do that. But then shortly after that, maybe I've got the timeline backwards, you start seeing like NFL players get involved in battle royals and WrestleMania events and stuff like that. But that Kaufman-Lawler feud, and Jimmy Hart was his manager at the time, and he got involved in the match, was like the first time I saw like Jimmy Hart do something other than just like WWF type stuff.
Yeah.
His time in Memphis was like long. Like he was in Memphis for a long time. Long time.
Well, like you said, just the list of wrestlers that you have right here, like.
I mean, he was a champions. He was a champions wrestler.
Yeah,
I mean,
Honky Tonk
champions
Man
manager.
as the longest reigning IC.
Yep.
He was on his side.
Yep.
Greg Valentine during his IC title run. The Mountie during his IC title run. You have him down here with Money Inc.
Yep.
The Dungeon of Doom.
Yep.
The Nasty Boys. Just
he was
Dino
with Hogan.
Bravo.
And I said Quebecers. I meant Fabulous Rougeau.
Yeah, Fabulous Rougeau brothers.
I mean, his list is.
And let's not forget, he managed Hoss Funk.
The most forgettable Funk brother. Yeah.
If there was ever a
Most
forgettable
forgettable.
Funk,
Yeah.
Hoss.
have y'all seen how Terry Funk looks now?
Yeah, he's terrible. Yeah, he's in bad shape.
He's in bad shape.
He's one that just didn't know when to walk away.
Exactly.
Just
Yeah.
didn't know when to walk away.
Beyond the mat with him and that Beyond the Mat. That's the hardest part of Beyond the Mat. Even though Mick Foley's getting his brain bashed in by the Rock during that I Quit match.
Yeah.
That whole part with him is tough to watch.
It's hard. It was hard watching him come back and wrestle as like Chainsaw Charlie.
Yeah.
Like, dude, at some point, it's like what I'm saying. Like when I said I get tired of seeing Hogan walk down to the ring, and like it's not believable that you can punch through everybody now, dog. Like, sit down.
Yeah.
Let someone else I don't want to hear about you having one more match. I don't care. I don't care about that, dog. Don't damage your legacy. Shawn Michaels came back and wrestled after his send off. Like, why? Flair tarnished his send off. Like, just guys, just go.
That WrestleMania match.
Should have stopped at WrestleMania 24. Yes, definitely. One cool thing about Jimmy Hart, like I never remember Jimmy Hart getting involved. I remembered him passing the megaphone to people and it being used in a match, but I found out during WrestleMania 3, not only did he appear in 3 different matches, he was in the Adonis and Piper match. He was also in the Hart Foundation and Danny Davis versus the Bulldogs and Tito match. He was also at the Honky Tonk Man versus Jake the Snake. He took bumps in all 3 of those matches.
Wow.
So I wonder what his payday was for that WrestleMania 3.
He was a little bitty fella too.
Yeah.
That's when music was starting to get introduced.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Had to be big.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We always think of Jim Johnston when we think of like the main like WWF themes, but
yeah.
Jimmy Hart just had as many bangers as I think he was the writer of American Hero, but what's his name? The other guy sang it.
Yeah.
But I think Jimmy Hart wrote the song.
He had a top 5 Billboard hit in the was it the 70s? He had a top 5 Billboard hit with the Gentrys. It was in 1965. Keep on Dancing with the Gentrys.
Keep
top
on
5
Dancing.
on Billboard. Top 5 on Billboard.
Jimmy
So
Hart just a man of all trades.
I mean, he's a lot of people probably have him at the top of their list. To me, the GOAT, Paulie Dangerously. That's like to me. That's. I mean, to me, his career is broken down into 2 different stages. Like what he's done with Lesnar on to now is a whole nother lifetime.
Yeah,
and what he did prior to that, like completely different.
It's not even just Lesnar. It's what he did with Punk.
Yeah, everybody. Punk,
and now with
Lesnar,
Roman Reigns.
And now with Reigns,
I didn't even know that.
The Bloodline storyline is one of the best things that WWE has done in a long
Roman
time.
Reigns? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he dropped Lesnar and went over to Roman, and he's made Roman an even bigger heel.
Well, they were damned and determined to make Roman
him,
Reigns as over. I mean, that's why I stopped watching it.
Yeah.
It was because
well, he's the ultimate heel. Like you said,
He's
that
the ultimate heel now.
Yeah, he's the ultimate heel.
It's so bad they can't find a way to get the title off of him. It's so bad they can't find a way.
Everybody hates him so bad.
Well, no, it's not that. It's just the man's held it for so long. It's boring. Now they had to create a whole nother title.
Yeah.
Like this man's walking to the ring with 3 belts. He's got the Universal, he's got the WWE, and then they unified it into 1 belt, and he's carrying that to the ring.
Yeah.
So they had to create a whole nother world heavyweight title.
Why are they doing that?
Because they can't.
They
put so much time and money into him being the guy that he's the face of the company now, they can't find a way to get it off of him.
Yeah, they're
And
stuck.
Yeah, they're stuck right now.
But why can't they just? What do you mean they can't get? Like, they don't got nobody that can beat them.
They
don't
won't push Cody like they should.
Cody was the one that everyone thought was going to beat him.
I think him getting hurt was the biggest downfall in that. Was what stalled that more than anything. But
I mean, if they put the belt back on Lesnar, they've got the same problem where he's there 3 months out of the year. So
and they're ruining this LA Knight thing.
They're ruining the LA Knight thing.
I mean, he's one of the most over guys on the roster right now, and
he's
just
so over.
And they are just totally just throwing him to the side.
Yeah, I mean, but we talk about Paulie Dangerously. He's managed more world champions than any other manager.
That's crazy to think of.
Big Show, Kurt Angle, RVD, CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns. That's not even counting the guys he managed that would eventually become world champions.
Yeah.
Like Steve Austin, Rick Rude. He probably one of the best promo managers ever.
Yeah.
You put him with someone who can't talk a lick and he will get them over. Curtis Axel. He got Curtis Axel over. And this man had a run with the IC title. He couldn't speak a lick.
No.
But he got him over. Like the Paul Heyman that's there now, like with Lesnar. Lesnar doesn't have to say a word.
No,
I would never let Lesnar touch a microphone.
No.
Ever. Just give the mic to Paul Heyman and let him do his thing. So, but a lot of those guys, like Roman, why is Roman talking? Like, he speaks on behalf of Roman. Like, he's just one of the best promo managers I've ever heard in my life.
He's one of the best promos in the wrestling business ever.
Well, that whole build up to WrestleMania 30
Yep.
with the Undertaker, the street match and
Oh,
everything,
yeah.
and his reaction made that match even more special.
But it's not even like after the match. It's like the one in, what was it, 21-1 or something?
Mm-hmm.
He said, like, the things he would say.
Yeah.
Like, my name is Paul Heyman, and I am the count. Like, and then this crowd starts chanting with him.
Yeah.
Like, they know his sequence and they know his shtick now. Like, he's just, I mean, he's the best.
Oh, yeah. The whole Dangerous Alliance stays back in the WCW.
I mean, yeah, the people he had in that were like all really good mid card wrestlers, but they all evolved into somebody bigger
Brian
than
Pillman,
that mid card.
you
You got Austin,
Rude.
Brian Pillman, Rude. Like, but some of these guys didn't need him to talk for them. They just needed him. And I remember that phone. That
Zach Morris cell phone.
That Zach Morris cell phone. Yes.
And that fake-ass ponytail that he
the
wore.
ponytail, yes.
That fake ponytail. I remember when he finally cut his hair and he come back out wearing the one-night stand ECW.
Yep.
He come back wearing the ECW hat and had the ponytail. I'm like, wait a minute. Your hair was cut. Now you got a ponytail?
I mean, he's
Wait a
another guy that
second.
started in Memphis, though. He started with Missy Hyatt, Tommy Rich, and Eddie Gilbert in Memphis.
Now, didn't he start off like being a photographer?
He was a photographer, yes. He started off, he wasn't even in the wrestling business. And for him to create something like ECW and for it to have the impact it had, now I know there were people back then that said he was shady, and I think he's a lawyer. Like, he went to law school or something like
His
that.
dad was.
His dad
Yep.
was, yeah. And so, you know, for him to create something as epic as ECW, like, that was a vibe, man. Like, to go to an ECW, we went to an ECW show at the Municipal Auditorium one time.
I was there.
That thing, I'm telling you, dude, it was awful.
And go back to, like you said, the whole CM Punk run. Matching him up with CM Punk during that run where CM Punk didn't need him. He was the best talker in all of wrestling.
Absolutely.
And then to match the two best talkers,
Yep.
it's...
There was two guys that I really thought were going to break the streak before Brock did. Brock made the most sense because he was over. Who's going to beat Brock Lesnar at this point in his career, right? Nobody. Yeah. But CM Punk during that run, I thought was for sure going to break the streak. And then Bray Wyatt, when they pushed him for about 8 months, solid. He was over more than anything, and then Undertaker squashed him. Like, all the momentum they built with him, they squashed him. Those two people I thought were going to break it far before Brock Lesnar ever did. So. But Lesnar was the right choice.
That summer of Punk was something special.
Oh yeah, unbelievable. So I put Paulie Dangerously at the top of the list, I think, as far as greatest. But Jimmy Hart, Paulie Dangerously, Cornette, Bobby Heenan, they're all in that mix.
You can't go wrong with any one of those.
But you knew they were going to be associated with somebody on top.
Yeah,
exactly. Definitely.
I got kind of a forgotten manager.
Let's go.
Bill Alfonso from ECW.
Hell yeah, dude.
Bill Alfonso. The whistle used to drive me nuts,
yeah,
man.
Managed
He wouldn't have so much that whistle.
Taz, Rob Van Dam. Yep.
That whistle, God bless.
Is there anybody? Oh, so we were talking about this before we started. I was trying to find. There was several managers who had been world champions and then became managers, but I can only find one person that was a manager and then became a world champion. That was DDP.
That's crazy.
Very underestimated manager. And I remember him walking to the ring with the cigar, and he had the lapel microphone on and not the handheld microphone. So he's emceeing like, good God, the whole way to the ring. And he would have some mediocre mid-card type guys.
He had the Diamond Stud.
He had the Diamond Stud and Vinny Vegas and those guys. But he was so engaging with the crowd while these guys were in the ring. Almost like the announcer didn't even make the announcement for the match. It was like DDP doing his thing and his shtick. So
he also managed a young Kurt Hennig back in the day as well.
Did he?
Under the Diamond Exchange stable.
I remember that now. Yeah.
I didn't know that till I looked
Wasn't
that up.
he present at one of the early WrestleManias? Was he?
He drove the pink Cadillac for Honky Tonk.
For Rhythm and Blues.
For Rhythm and Blues.
So his career has spanned like a long time.
He drove the Cadillac for black-headed Greg Valentine.
Yes. Yes, he did.
That's pretty epic, dude. 'Cause that was when they were fixing to say sayonara to Greg Valentine. He started wearing blue trunks.
Yeah, I remember you saying that whenever they put you in blue trunks, it means
It's
you're
over.
headed
He
out
did the same
door.
thing Dino Bravo. He put in blue trunks, and then he was
Blue
gone.
Trunks, it's over.
And he got shot 1,100 times for cigarettes like an hour later.
Yikes.
That was a good Dark Side of the Ring episode.
Crazy.
Went out.
Yeah.
He looks just like Rick Moranis. R.I.P. He looks just like Rick Moranis. If Rick Moranis was on steroids, that's Dino Bravo looked exactly like him.
Oh,
He was a
man.
big barrel-chested motherfucker.
Yeah.
And you got Mr. Bad Street USA himself, Michael Hayes, managed the Hardy Boys.
Yeah, he did the Hardy Boys
Gave
when
them
they
their-
first came out.
Gave them their,
Wasn't he the Brood? Like, wasn't he with the Brood? Wasn't he their manager?
Hardy
no,
Boys.
Gangrel. He was Gangrel's
Yep.
Brood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
managed the Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he did give them their
In
break.
fact, then he went into being an agent after that, I believe.
I remember watching one of those documentaries. I don't know if it was the Hardy Boys or Jeff Hardy's documentary. They were talking about Michael Hayes and how much he helped him. He said they also would kind of get frustrated with him because he would volunteer him to do these crazy ass spots.
Yep.
And they were like, "Why don't you get your ass up there and do that shit?" Like,
Yep.
like he would,
Yeah.
Jeff Hardy was laughing when he said it, but that's one thing I do remember them saying about him when he managed.
What about old school Captain Lou Albano?
Oh, yeah.
The original Mario.
Yeah, it would have rubber bands in his ears for earrings and everything.
Every time I see or hear Lou Albano's name, I think of the Goonies theme song.
Cindy Lauper.
Cindy Lauper,
It's
yeah.
good enough for you. Hell, I didn't realize he managed your boy Greg Valentine as well.
Boy, you notice a lot of these guys, like, it's almost like they would have never had the career they had it not been for the managers they were associated with.
Yeah.
Like, would Greg the Hammer Valentine be just as good or relevant had he not had any of these managers? Because he couldn't talk either.
No, and he was an ugly looking motherfucker, too.
And yeah, like he wasn't. If he wasn't close to Hogan, or if
Yeah.
you see him now, he's rocking like the open button-up shirt with the chains and got the rollie on and everything. Like he's a different person now. But most of these guys couldn't talk. I remember Earthquake and Typhoon doing promos and they would scream.
Yeah, just
Like
yelling
they're just
to the mic.
screaming. That's all they did. And like, what are you talking about?
Like Ultimate Warrior style.
No, Warrior actually said some stuff. We don't know what it meant, but he said some stuff.
Shout out Destrucity.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Oh,
my
take the plane into a nosedive. Hulk Hogan. Oh man.
Ultimate Warrior was on an insane amount of cocaine.
Oh yeah.
He dabbled in it
They
a little
all
bit.
were. I mean,
Steroids and coke, man.
they
They
were.
just had a table full of it just to dunk their nose in when they were ready to go shoot promos with Mean Gene.
Oh man. Gene's over there bumping too.
Yeah. Let me take a sip of my martini and bump a line before I interview you over here.
What
Guys-
you got over there, Chance?
The Grand Wizard.
The Grand Wizard. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Old
not the
school.
not the
No,
not the
not
really
the-
bad
no.
one that doesn't like certain people.
No.
The wrestler,
Yep.
manager, Grand Wizard.
He was an old school guy, right?
I need to
He,
make sure
uh,
everybody's aware of that.
Yeah.
Let me clarify
Yeah,
this.
the wrestling's Grand Wizard.
Yeah, we don't need to get the video flagged.
Yeah. He managed Superstar Billy Graham.
Superstar Billy Graham.
And took Ken Patera, Pat Patterson, and Don Morocco to the Intercontinental Championship.
Oh yeah.
Let's go,
Grand
dude.
Wizard, yeah.
GW.
Had the turban with he wore the zigzag glasses.
Yep.
With the turban.
Yeah, shout
Yeah.
out to GW.
Yep.
Yeah. There was another
GW.
well-known early manager.
Classy Freddie
Classy
Blassie.
Freddie Blassie.
Yeah, dude, it's
Classy
so hard to say
Freddie
that.
Blassie, yeah.
Yeah, he managed Jesse Ventura for a while.
Yep.
George the Animal Steel. Oh, Mr. Bite the Turnbuckle.
That was
off
crazy.
himself.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
I wonder how many turnbuckles
He
they went
actually
through.
was the manager for Muhammad Ali when he went over to Japan to wrestle an Inoki or Inoki or whatever.
Yeah. God, fun fact.
Boxer versus wrestling match.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I bet that drew big money too.
Oh, that's the only way Muhammad Ali was going to do it. It was going to be a payday.
Yep.
Yeah.
So guys, I'm sitting. We may need to split this valet.
Split this
off.
one. The valet went off.
We're at an hour and we haven't even finished managers yet.
Okay. Yeah.
We could almost do valets as its own episode.
Yeah, we'll just do that then. That sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah.
So when we were talking about managers who had been world champions, that list is a short one, but it's a pretty intense if you think about it. Iron Sheik, of course, Bob Backlund, Sting.
Iron Sheik was a manager?
Iron Sheik was a manager.
Who was his manager back in the day?
Was it GW? Chance, was it the GW? GW, was he manager of the Sheik?
I got stuck. I was the look on my face.
I don't even like saying the name. It's just it's.
But Sheik had
a manager threw the towel in at the Hogan match or the Backlund match. No, who threw the towel in at when Sheik?
That was Arnold Skolin, I think.
Arnold Skolin. Yeah.
Oh god.
But Sting now with Darby, of course, they say he acts like a manager. You got Matt Hardy, who's been a manager. Taz, of course. Taz was a pretty good manager.
Who all did he manage?
He was with the Main Event Mafia there for a minute.
TNA.
TNA.
Okay. See, I didn't watch much TNA, which I need to watch.
That's one of the best stables.
I'll tell you a good solid manager. I'm trying to remember his name, but he managed the Canadian wrestling faction in TNA early on. It was
Scott D'Amore.
Scott D'Amore.
Yeah.
Scott D'Amore.
Scott D'Amore was a really good manager in TNA early on. Whenever they were.
What's his
Petey
name?
Williams, the Canadian Destroyer.
They had a good faction. The Canadians
Don
had
Callis.
Bobby Roode was in
Bobby
there.
Roode was in there. Eric
Is Don Callis considered a manager now?
Who did Don Callis manage in TNA though?
I guess he's doing more managing now than because he was with Kenny Omega he was doing.
Oh
stuff
no,
with,
Don. I was thinking about Don West. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. R.I.P. Don West. Don Callis. You're right. Yeah, I guess he is doing when they were. I guess they were doing some cross promotion between Impact and AEW. He was acting as.
And then I think he was with New Japan for a little bit.
He was with New Japan. You're right. You're
but
right.
I think did he wrestle?
Don Callis is another one of them. I just can't wait to see get slapped in the face.
Yeah,
he's got a face that like you want to slap. He's got one of those. And of course, you said Freddie Blassie, of course, Flair with
Evolution.
That's me. Who I think Freddie Blassie was with Sheik for a little bit too.
Was it Freddie Blassie?
I think it may have
Who
been.
threw the towel? Was that? Did you say Akbar?
I think it was Arnold Skolin.
Arnold Skolin threw the towel in.
Yep.
It said Freddie Blassie did manage Sheik.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Freddie Blassie, and then of course Triple H and DDP. Of course, we talked about DDP, but that's a short list of managers who were at one point or another world
Is
champions.
DDP one of the best stories in wrestling?
Oh, definitely. We haven't. This is 2 podcasts. We've talked about his involvement, but we haven't touched on him at all. So
Yeah.
I think that is probably an episode by itself. DDP is completely underrated.
Yeah, I think too. What we could start implementing too in the channel is I can start making posts each week like polls to where we could be like, who do y'all want? The next episode. Say we do an episode on one certain wrestler, and we have DDP, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, and Scott Hall or something, and then people could like vote.
Right, let's
We
do it.
could leave the vote up, for a week, and then whoever has the most votes, like that's what we'll do.
Yeah, I think
that's how Pritchard and them did it initially.
I think that's pretty dope. Yeah,
Let's do it.
Yeah, I think that's
so that's
dope.
something to think about. But if y'all want to comment, like we were thinking about doing, we originally were going to do valets and managers, but managers held its on for an entire hour, so we could do valets / females in wrestling as an episode in its own. We can come back to
ton
that
of valets to get
Yeah,
to
that's
cover
just as
too.
many.
Yeah.
So, like, if y'all want to comment, see if y'all want us to start doing episodes on one wrestler's like career, like a career, dive in, like that would be fun. Where we keep it to one person and just see how we do with those.
I'm totally down for that.
Idea.
Yep.
Because there's a bunch of guys on there that have a long career that have so many moments to hit on.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't remember a great deal of managers from TNA that were memorable other than what he had said.
Scott, other than
he was
more, like
one of-
I don't
yeah.
really remember, like because it was so many.
There were a bunch of valets,
Yeah,
but there weren't very many managers.
I'll tell you a good manager, and we forgot him, and I forgot his name, but he was a great manager. He managed the Abyss, and he also managed
Father James Mitchell.
Father James Mitchell. Yeah.
He also managed Canyon.
Yep.
Like he was great in TNA.
Yep.
He was also in WCW.
There's another guy in that may be the same guy you're thinking. Did he have the eyebrows?
Yep.
That's him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
James Mitchell.
Yeah, okay, that's the same
he
guy.
was
Great manager in
Abyss
TNA.
is one of those characters I would have loved to have seen get involved with the Undertaker at some point, but never
Oh,
happened.
I cannot wait for y'all. At some point, we have to do TNA 2005.
I'm telling you,
I definitely need to tap into that
app,
TNA.
bro. Like you can. Like,
TNA wrestling is one of my favorite. To this day, I can still go back and watch stuff from TNA.
And see,
05 to
completely-
08?
it'll be all new stuff, all new to
dude,
me with that.
because
TNA
06
stuff.
is when Angle came over, and
Yep.
Angle and Samoa Joe had so many
good matches.
in 06.
Hey, Sting and Angle, you
Yeah,
had.
Sting was over there,
I
like
mean,
that.
I'm telling you, Sting and Samoa Joe's matches.
AJ.
2002 when Sting came into TNA, I mean, it was the best thing ever because I get to see Sting every week now.
Yeah.
I got tired of seeing Jarrett, but one thing I respect about Jeff Jarrett is same with Cody Rhodes. Like he never won the TNA World Title. He won the NWA title,
Yeah.
but he never won the TNA title. Same with Cody in AEW. He never won the AEW title. He won like a subsidiary title.
Yeah.
So and I respect that about them. That's their company, and back in the day, if your father owned the company or you owned the company, you were world champion. That's what happened with AWA. Greg Gagne was champion forever and a day.
Shoo-shoo.
Yeah, I mean, it just it
And that's
wasn't.
what I'm
it
kind of
didn't need
wish
to
that
be.
Global Force Wrestling would have kind of took off
Me
more
too.
than,
Me
than
too.
it did and everything. He had it
Oh, I
go
forgot
rolling.
about that,
Yeah.
And then he cross promoted with him with TNA. Didn't he do a thing with TNA for
He
a little
did.
bit too?
They unified the titles at some point.
No,
so, yeah.
And
Good
see,
old
I did watch some of the later TNA stuff like EC3.
I liked him. He was a good character. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a great heel.
Yeah.
Great heel.
Up until I had them all. I had all those DVDs from like 05 to
Yep.
2012, and I watched them all through once. And I don't remember there being a year where it was shitty.
Never.
honestly.
I don't
Like,
think so either.
Now after 2012, I didn't watch it, so I don't know what it was after that. Is it even Impact still a thing?
Impact is still a thing, but they're more so like
Farm system or something?
it's very small. It's a very small venue.
I think they film it here out of Nashville.
Yeah,
They do all their
it's like
tapings out
they've
here
got
out of
they've got a
Nashville.
warehouse they film up. You probably have 200 people in attendance. It looks more like your old
ROH?
no even
No,
like
it's
it looks
smaller.
like your old NWA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Saturday
US.
morning.
WA and
Yeah.
What
stuff.
before
It seemed
you
like
got
the
here,
NWA set.
what happened to that? Is that not a thing?
It's online.
online.
It's on
Y'all
YouTube.
still doing it?
Yeah,
Because
it's-
I saw like the studio stuff. I thought that
Yeah.
was
Because
cool.
in Brodus EC3's their North American champion.
Yeah, and
or
Brodus
something.
Clay is
Brodus Clay is the NWA title,
champion
yeah.
right now.
NWA champion.
Brodus Clay.
He's killing it though. If
Yeah.
it wasn't him, it was who was
He's
the
been on Fox News
Trevor
a bunch,
Murdoch.
too. He's
Yeah,
on
Trevor
Murdoch
Murdoch
for a
and
while.
then
Nick
Aldis.
Nick Aldis, yeah.
Yeah, he
So,
had it for a long
Fun
time.
fact about him: my niece actually babysits him and Mickey James's kids.
Wow.
Yeah, I heard he's a
Hell
super
yeah.
nice guy.
Shout
Yeah.
out to
Oh
Nick
yeah, she
Aldis.
loves him to death. So
But yeah, I love when NWA started doing that the studio stuff.
Yeah, loved it.
Brought me back old school
absolutely,
stuff.
they set it up just like that. Yep.
And back when you could go to the pay window, baby.
Yeah, I wish Billy Corgan could get a little bit more behind it. Get
Yeah.
more people to invest in with it too, because there needs to be more competition than just.
I mean, right
AEW.
now AEW is giving WWE a run for their money.
Yeah.
Hey,
They
the
put
fact
out
that
really
they were able
good
to do that in
product.
4 years, bro. That started.
Oh
in
yeah, it's
2019.
crazy,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it just shows if you got some investors behind it, you
Well,
can.
and you get some names because I remember like I don't know who was it Panda Energy Drink or something was their TNA's partner. They were the ones paying
Yeah.
Sting. Like TNA wasn't paying Sting his $600,000 a year salary. It was Panda Energy.
Oh, dude, yeah.
So now you've got guys like CM Punk making like millions
Yeah.
probably in AEW. I'm sure that money's coming. Well, I don't know. Tony Khan's got money. Like they got money.
He owns the fucking
I just know
Jaguars.
last year at this time we went to a TNA, not a TNA, but an AEW event at the Municipal, and half the venue was blacked out. Now we're going to Bridgestone in August, and I guarantee you it's probably packed.
Yeah, well, they sold out Wembley Stadium, didn't they?
Yeah, that's
where-
nuts.
where
That's
they're-
crazy. AEW
That's
is to that
nuts.
level, dude.
yeah, they're going over to England. And I believe it's Wembley Stadium.
But one thing that they're doing that's going to work for them is they're incorporating these guys from overseas.
Yes.
that's going to help them. That's going to
Yeah,
help.
it's like the internet wrestling community
Yeah.
is real big behind AEW.
Oh yeah,
That's what's-
I mean, and I think
Yeah.
they
That's
put out a
what-
pretty good product. Again, like anytime Sting is on the bill, I'm going to watch it regardless. That's my guy. So
and I'm a huge MJF fan.
oh, I like him too.
He's got it down. I think this whole Adam Cole thing is going to blow up, and it's going to be such a great payoff.
He's a better version of the Miz.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now Miz had his time where I felt like the Miz was a character you could really hate and
Yeah.
really get into. Like he's a good heel, but then he's so wishy washy.
Well, the good thing about MJF is he lives this this gimmick.
That's him. Yeah,
He lives this thing.
He doesn't care. Like, yeah, he does. I like his character. I like what he does. He's money on the mic. He's actually
money in the ring.
He's actually a decent wrestler. Like, he can really go. And he's really built up, like, you know, the defection from the Jericho clique and all that stuff. Like, he's really made a way for himself.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know, he's a good story for
And
AEW.
I always watched that Being the Elite.
Yep.
I watched it.
I love that.
I watched it from the early, I'm not so much a fan of it nowadays.
Yeah.
But I love the early stuff and seeing when MJF was first
Introduced with Cody. He's Cody's buddy.
And it's crazy to see where he's gone to now being the world champion and everything. It's just, but he gets it.
Yeah,
it's wrestling is his life.
And AEW needed one of those homegrown type people that didn't have a following somewhere else. Like Kenny Omega and them were big in Japan, big everywhere else. Then they formed AEW. MJF was homegrown.
Yeah.
In AEW, like, he started there, and he's gonna be their guy for a while.
I think so too.
Yep.
And it was a perfect matching him up, putting him with Jericho coming right into the get go.
And Jericho's over more than he's unbelievably over there at AEW. That man just keeps reinventing himself.
Yeah, he's a master of it.
Yeah.
Does AEW have any good managers that stand out? I know Arn Anderson was managing.
Tully was there for a brief time with
and Jake the Snake was
Lance. I think the Jake and Lance Archer pairing was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Jake could have a really good career as a manager if they put him with the right people.
Yeah. Because he can talk.
He can talk. I mean, the psychology part of it. If you put him with a group that's really like more psychological driven, I think he could have a really good career as a manager. I did like Arn and Cody together. Mm-hmm. Was Tully with FTR? Is that who he was with?
I think so.
I think so.
And I thought that was a good pairing. You got the really good technical tag team with a really good technical wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's pretty much it. I mean, Matt Hardy was a manager there for a while. Money Matt Hardy or something like that. But they've got some decent ones. I mean, a lot of these, it's still new. They're still trying to figure some things out. But you know, I love seeing them create new stars.
And Christian,
Christian, of course,
with Jungle Boy and
Luchasaurus.
Yep.
It's Jack Perry now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Jack Perry.
I don't know if I like Jack Perry. I don't know if I like him yet.
Yep.
Yeah.
His dad was a goat, though.
His daddy was a goat. Yeah.
His daddy was a goat. It's been episode 23, Wrestling Managers, damn it.
Bam, we rambled on right there.
Yeah, y'all hit a pocket there. But, yeah, man, we appreciate everybody's support. Shout out to Trouble Spirits. Shout out to Nixon Pro Media. Shout out to Revolution One Media. Hit that subscribe button. The link is in the description. Everybody's Instagrams. Get us out of here, Tony.
We out this motherfucker.